Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to The Law. This is your legal light. It is your health law. And this afternoon, we take you through an education of the RTI, the Right to Information Act. The Commission has been at work and has received a lot of praises. But there is an aspect of the work that people are not exactly particularly excited about. That while they have been whipping defaulting, institutions with fines, we can't see the fines and we can't see them exactly prosecuting them for the wrongs that they have done against you for not giving you information that they have asked them to give you. So, how exactly is the Commission going about ensuring that defaulters are deterred from doing that? This afternoon, that's what's engaging our attention. But they will tell us a lot more about what they have been doing. How far has the RTI Commission helped you to access the information that the law empowers you to get? I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. We'll be right back. I'll introduce my guest to you. You're welcome back. This is The Law. It is your legal light. It is your health law. And our topic for today is the state of the RTI activation, sanctioning defaulters. And we're pleased to have the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission, Yao Sapong Boateng. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for making time to join us.
Yes, good afternoon, Samson, and good afternoon to our viewers.
Great. You share your views with us. At the right time, we will open the phone lines to also join us. Are you satisfied with the Commission's work so far? That's the question. So, since the commencement of the work of the RTI Commission, as I said earlier, many people have been full of praise for the Commission because those who have applied for information or requested information from public institutions and have had problems have come to you. And when they came to you, I think so far, except one case, they have all been adjudged to be right. And those who tried to deny them information were compelled by your commission to give the information. How do you assess what you have done so far?
I think that there's more room for improvement, and we as a commission are not too interested in the praises, but we look at the work ahead of us and we are more focused than to be excited about praises. So yes, the citizens are entitled to be excited that the job they give the Right to Information Commission is being done in the manner that they preferred. Yes, and we can assure them that...
To some, you have actually exceeded their expectations.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think it's what the law expects of us. So for us, it is just doing what the law requires of us. But like I said, it's within the right of the Ghanaian to be excited that the people they put in place to do some work for them are doing just what they wanted them to do. Right.
So from where you sit, how do you think you have helped Ghanaians to activate their right to access information?
I think when we took over the commission, or we started the commission, better to put it that way, very few Ghanaians could actually appreciate what the law was about. It took a lot from our end to engage the people of Ghana to appreciate that this new law had come into being, and that how would we all appreciate its usage. So we had put in much of our effort in educating the public and sustaining awareness within the country.
There were those who thought it was a law for journalists or the media.
Exactly. I've always tried to disabuse their minds of that thinking, that this is for every Ghanaian.
Right.
And anytime we want to limit it to journalists, I have a problem, because if we are not careful, when journalists decide not to use it, we'll have a problem even functioning as a commission.
Okay.
So it's more about the people. And if you read Article 21, 1F of the 1992 Constitution, it says a person shall have a right to information. So there's no discrimination. It has nothing to do with whether you are a child or whether you are a legal or a natural person. So every person has a right to information. Now what the right to information law is about is how do we activate and use this right effectively? And that's what the Commission has been preoccupied with over the last 3 years. I think October, we can confidently say 3 years.
As I told you earlier, mentioned to you earlier, the gentleman we have in the studio is the Executive Secretary of the Right to Information Commission. If you are just joining us, that's Yao Sapong Boating, and we are looking at the state of RTI activation and how they are sanctioning defaulters. They are institutions who have not done the right thing as far as people's request for information is concerned. How are they dealing with them? We're looking at that, but we're looking more generally also as to how they have done their work to help you realize your rights. In seeking to help people to understand that the law is law for everyone and not only journalists, what have been the difficulties you have encountered?
I think that I wouldn't call it a difficulty, but we are a highly populous nation, and it takes a lot to be able to get in touch with everyone. So we started a project of doing some regional sensitization exercise since we took over. And so far, we have been able to cover 12 out of the 16 regions. We are seeking to conclude the 16 regions by close of this year. We set aside a Right to Information Week when we took over and decided to use it as a month in which we will sensitize the nation as much as we can. This year, we have extended it not only to a Right to Information Week, but a Right to Information Month. And we've begun our activities from even August, leading to the 28th day of September, which is the International Day for the Universal Access to Information, which is christened by the United Nations and celebrated across the world as the Right to Information Day. So that's what we work towards, and we use it to climax all our activities. And we are hoping that this year we'll get a wider reach. Every time we hope to improve over the previous year's activities. So yes, reaching all the people of Ghana has been a challenge. But we have managed to also secure office space in Kumasi, which is the Ashanti regional capital, and the Bono region. And by close of this year, we will be opening and operating from the two regions. We are hoping that in the medium term, we can have about 5 regional offices.
What is necessitating that? Because people have come to know that they send their complaints to you virtually,
yes,
and they are attended to. I have had people who say they sent it from somewhere in the Volta region. They didn't have to come face to face with you, and within a short time, you had, as it were, attended to their matter.
Yes, so the virtual arrangement is helping. We don't require that you come in person to engage with us for us to resolve your problems, but you also need to continue educating the persons in the regions to also appreciate what goes on, so that it doesn't become a national level law, but it's actually a nationwide law. So opening up these offices will help the regions also have access, the districts also have access to the Right to Information Commission, so that in terms of what the information holders have to do, they are able to engage to prepare them for the public.
So back to the questioning. So far, we have had a number of cases where people have made, or institutions have made, requests for information from public institutions, and they have been denied. And then they came complaining to you, and you vindicated their rights, that those institutions, the police service, the lands commission, quite a number of them, education ministry or service, all of them, you're asking them, give the information that the people have requested and give them within this time. And for failing to honor their request, you are asked to pay 50,000. Some of them are asked to pay 100,000. What has been the cooperation with these institutions as far as your sanctions against them are concerned?
Very well, Samson. I think that the law itself was not very clear on how you exact or you receive the penalties that you may have levied. But having sat with my management and my board, the commission came to the conclusion that, like every citizen of this nation, if you are required to be paid some administrative penalties, the courts are available for you to enforce that right. And therefore, we should also be seen fighting to exact exactly what the law requires the commission to do. So far, we have had to take on institutions that in the past 2 years, we have levied administrative penalties on. And some of them have paid. Some are in the process of engaging on how to pay. Some have failed. We are in court. We are hoping that the court will help us enforce this penalty regime, so that that's not the idea gets to trickle down to all public institutions, so that you become aware that in the event that you fail to pay the penalties, the courts will also. So far, we have not just sat back. Penalties. We have also exact what the law requires.
If you're just joining us, this is The Law. It is your legal light. It is your health law, and we are hosting the Executive Secretary of the Right to Information Commission, Yao Sapong Boateng, and we will soon be opening the lines for you to also join and ask your questions. But we are asking, how satisfied are you with the work of the commission? It should not be only civil society organizations, including the Right to Information Coalition, that some of us know about and have worked with, that have poured praises, and some say they have exceeded their expectation in the work that they have done. But you must also have a say in what they do. We are going on a quick break. When we return, we will find out exactly how can you access information and what are they doing to make it easier. You're welcome back. This is The Law. It's your legal light. It's your health law. We are treating state of RTI activation, asking how satisfied you are with the work of the commission so far, and also giving a focus on how they are sanctioning defaulters. You have been listening to the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission, Yao Sapong Boateng, so far. We'll open the phone lines in due course for you to join. But I had asked the question, was coming to the question, those who are listening to us, there are people who may be joining for the first time and hearing about you for the first time and wondering, how do I access, information that I want? Can you briefly help them how they can do that? Sure. Then I'll come to ask how you are helping them to do that easily.
Okay. Thank you, Samson. So the law requires every public institution. First of all, people will wonder what a public institution is. When it comes to the government agencies, I think it is very easy for everyone to appreciate it. But there are some agencies who, according to the law, offer public services or public functions and also receive public resources. These are ways in which you can identify whether an institution is a public institution or otherwise. So let's take note of that. When you require information from a public institution, the law requires that you direct your request to an information officer. Now, it doesn't matter that the organization may not have an information officer. If you attention the managing director or the head of the agency, he can minute or direct the application to the information officer. So the incidence of where an individual makes a request to the managing director who says we don't have an information officer should be something of the past. You are required to direct the request to the information officer. And it's an obligation on you as an agency to have an information officer. So for you not to have one, you should realize that you are in default of the law. The law requires that information is processed within 14 days for an applicant who requires information. If there is the need to get the information urgently, the law says state the reason why you require the information urgently, and then for that reason you can be given access to the information within 48 hours. So the law does not place a burden on an applicant to explain why they need information. And no one is required to ask you to tell them the reason why you need that information. It's your right, and you are only entitled to that right. You don't have to give any reasons for the information. So no one can insist on that right. I think that it's important that citizens take note of that. Okay. And then it doesn't matter that you, the public office holder, is worried about what the possible use of that information could be. It is the individual's right, and the law also places the responsibility for how you use information on the individual. So we both have to understand our place in this whole arrangement. Yes. So if you are required to take the information, note that some kind of information or what it takes to get the information could attract a charge. The law has put in place the kind of charge that you are likely to pay. If you look at the Miscellaneous Fees and Charges Act of 2022, Act 1080, it basically sets photocopies at 27 pesos and then print at 38 pesos. Right. So the law itself appreciates the fact that information is not for sale. It's to take care of the cost of reproducing that information. And I mean, some of the agencies think that even preparing receipts to charge the 27 pesos is a cost to the organization. So they probably would give you the information without going through the trouble of doing the paperwork. Right. But the most important thing is that the law has set the system in motion to make you have access to information, which is a human right guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, and we ought to ensure that every citizen enjoys that right. Right.
There's some form or types of information that the law says you shouldn't even pay at all, correct?
Sure.
So I'm looking at section 75 of the law, which talks about fees and charges of public institutions, and it says, among others, that a fee or charge shall not be payable for A. You have said that the reproduction of personal information. Okay, a fee or charge shall not be payable for the reproduction of personal information of the applicant. The reproduction of personal information of a person on whose behalf an application is made. The reproduction of information which is in the public interest.
Yes.
Information that should have been provided within stipulated time under this act. Information to an applicant who is indigent. Information to a person with disability. So clarify for us the classes of information that the law says you can have without a charge at all, free of charge.
Yes. So for instance, if information is about myself, I shouldn't be paying for it because I own that data. So it is rational for you to expect that when I'm requesting information concerning myself, I should get it for free. So the law makes it very clear. It says persons who are poor, the law recognizes that in this jurisdiction, there are poor people. So we can be able to determine who a poor person is. I always use the example of someone who enters an office and wants to indicate that they are poor and yet is holding an iPhone. You can easily tell that you are not the person within the category that the law anticipates.
But we understand also that in our law, we say an indigent person is someone who is not earning the minimum wage.
I'm not aware of that, Samson. I'm not able to speak to that. But I believe that,
so that
across the country,
in terms of to access legal aid, we say that this is how we determine it for status.
So the challenge is that it's very difficult to determine the wage of every individual in this jurisdiction. So you don't even want to go there. You should allow some kind of subjectivity to get into this.
Yes, because even the legal aid officers,
it's even difficult to check how many people are on formal pay arrangements.
Right.
So how do you tell whether the person is being truthful about his pay or not? So you don't want to dwell too much on that. But we should be able to determine who a poor man is.
All right, please proceed. You were going further to...
Yes, so a person with disability, I think more clarity should be placed on who are disabled persons. I've been struggling to find a definition for persons with disability.
I thought that would be obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious from the persons who fall. But the kind of disability that we may anticipate may go beyond what is available on paper.
Okay.
So that's available. But for me, I think that invariably, if you look at all these restrictions, I think that the law has made information free.
That's right.
Because for me, with my mischievous mind as a lawyer, I would appeal to my disabled friend to make every request on my behalf, for instance. So anytime people make the argument that this law has placed charges on information and that it shouldn't be the case, I think that they are not being fair to the law, because it has made the categorization for persons who can access it for free. And it did not even limit the fact that you can appeal to them to do it for you. So invariably, information is free.
Right. And 75(2)(c) says the reproduction of information which is in the public interest.
Yes.
And often people will be asking for information which is in the public interest.
But that public interest is very difficult to determine between the information officer and the applicant.
So Occupy Ghana wrote to Lands Commission asking to know about the Achimota, forest issues and the lands and who has been giving what or not.
Yes.
That is information in the public interest. They are doing it for the public because the matter had become public.
Something if you want
the Lands Commission was not being, as it were, dealing with them in a manner that they expected.
Yes.
So you had to step in and force the Lands Commission to give them the information.
In fact, they had kept us in copy of every correspondence with the Lands Commission. So it made it easier for us to know what has transpired over the period. That's how come we were able to step in at the time we were called upon. But like I said, public interest is a matter to be determined by the courts. And I think that over the years, the courts have stepped up to what indeed is public interest. If you go to jurisdictions where persons have proper identities, as we are beginning to do in our country, we have national ID cards. I think now we can generate persons' interest to be able to back our claim that this is indeed in the public interest. So that if I'm requesting for information, I can submit signatures with proper identification to show that I have 3,000 people within the Kokomlemle vicinity who are interested in this matter. And therefore, it is in the public interest that you give me this information. So, going forward, we are able to tell what public interest would actually be.
Interesting.
Yes.
So the other question I was asking was, how are you making it easy for the public to access information?
So the easiest, I have indicated previously that I'm educating them on what they can and what they cannot, and then what they can access and what they cannot access. And that's what we've kept doing. The law requires us to sustain awareness within the country, and it's for unlimited periods. So we keep educating and educating until such a time.
Just as you are doing right now.
Yes, until such a time where it has become so clear that every Ghanaian is aware of it and is using it. I was at the GJA forum organized by its executives earlier in the month. And then I indicated that considering the fact that we are 30 million Ghanaians and this law has been in operation for 3 years, for me, it surprises me that in the third year of its operation, we still can't have 1,000 applications for information across public institutions. I think that the way we pushed for this law, we could do better as a nation. And so the education has to be pushed to get people more interested in using the law, so that when the reporting time approaches at the end of the year, we can see that at least, even in Greater Accra alone, we have about 50,000 applications.
The last time the information minister went to Parliament to report about, access to information,
yes,
we had hundreds.
Very well. So I'm saying that if you consider the data from the first year, we had about 50 applications across public institutions.
Okay.
The second year,
that was not encouraging for you?
I think it was.
Okay.
It was. For a starting year. The second year, we had 289 applications. The third year, of course, there's a jump between the second and the third to 783, which is impressive.
All right.
But I just believe that we could do better.
You think we could do beyond even 1,000?
If journalists alone decide to use this law very well, we should go beyond 1,000.
Right.
That's the point I was making there, that look, the journalist community in this country has been very vibrant in getting this law to come into being.
That's right.
All right. And therefore, we should not go to sleep. We should cut the implementation of this law to its limits. Most of the time, when people have applied for information and we have even made a decision that they should get the information, they themselves go to sleep when they don't get the information. Because we are not in a position, for instance, to determine whether the information has been given to you after we have made our decision. It takes you to draw our attention to the fact that you made a decision 3 months ago and that we have not received the information. That will also get us to follow up on why you haven't been able to receive the information. So we require that cooperation.
Just in the same way people enforce judgment when a court gives them judgment.
Exactly.
When a court gives them judgment, you must enforce or execute it.
Yes.
If the other party is misconducting themselves, it is for you to go back to the court and draw their attention, either for them to cite them for contempt or to find other ways to help you. We are here at on the law. We are looking at the activation of the RTI so far and how defaulters are being sanctioned. And my simple question to you is, how satisfied are you with the Commission's work so far? We have the privilege of the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission, Yasapon Boateng, on this show this moment. And in few minutes, we'll open the phone lines for you to join with your questions direct to him. We'll move on because we have seen that the Commission is doing a number of things, including rolling out a strategic plan to help it in how it will move forward. But what classes of information am I entitled to? Not every information that everybody is entitled to. What class of information am I entitled to, and where can I seek the information?
So first of all, it's important to indicate that the Right to Information Commission is not the holder of public information, so that you don't have to come to the Right to Information Commission to apply for information on all government business or all public business. We are only a referee. In terms of the work we do, we hold information which you can request. But we are a referee to ensure that the holders of information, which is the supply side, and the seekers of information are able to get what the law requires them to get. So where you deem a public institution to hold information you are looking for, that is the institution you would apply to for the information you are looking for. Yes, so I think that it's important that our viewers are aware that the Right to Information Commission is not necessarily the place you go for when you require information, and that it is only when you have challenges in your processes of accessing information that you can call on the Right to Information Commission by either sending an email, whichever way that works for you, so that we can investigate how you have not been able to receive the information and work to ensure that you get it. Now, you indicated that what kind of information are you not entitled to? Yes. For instance, the law has indicated that it's between Section 5 and 17 of the Act, which is Act 989. If you go online, you find it available in a scanned form, a PDF versions. So every citizen can have access to what the law actually says. It says, for instance, information relating to the president, vice president, or cabinet, which is meant to be used for some work, that if you give out that information, it is likely to affect the work that they will be doing with the kind of information. So you can ask for the information, but at the time you are asking for it, is the timing that the law pays attention to. It is not, the law doesn't say you cannot seek information from the presidency. It says that information, will it prejudice the work they are about to do? If it will, you are not entitled to give that information.
When they are in the deliberative process
you cannot give that information out. But if it has been utilized and it's of no value to affect a kind of decision they are likely to take, then the law says you can give it out. So we say that no institution, no public institution is exempt from the application of this law. It is the kind of information that we may find in your custody at a particular time that we may determine whether at that time we ought to give it out or not. So no one can say, I'm the Special Prosecutor's Office, and therefore I don't give out information.
Right.
You are a public institution within the law, you must give out information. No one can say, I'm national security, I cannot give out information. No. If the law wanted to say...
The national security, law enforcement, there is a certain exemption that they have to enjoy.
I agree.
Because the law says if they give too much, they may disclose information that will destroy investigations they are doing.
Yes, but you see, for us, the practice should be that we will respond to you and tell you why, under the law, we are not entitled to give you that information.
Okay.
But it is not for you to say we are national security and therefore this law does not apply to us. So there's a distinction.
All right.
If you think that the information the applicant is looking for within the law should not be disclosed, open the section of the law that says so. Write that reason for the applicant. Now, because the information you are looking for falls within this exempt rule or section of the Act, we are unable to give it to you at this time. Then the applicant, if he is satisfied or dissatisfied, will now defer to the commission or to the court for the court to determine whether that information you are withholding really falls within that exempt arrangement.
Right.
So the law is not saying give out every information.
Okay.
Of course, information has to be restricted for us to have a very coherent environment as a nation.
Right.
But we need to do it in a way that, you see, it depends. Sometimes you sit in office as a public office holder and you think you can do what you like. But tomorrow, when you are out of that office, you ask yourself, shouldn't you be entitled to the information that is being held?
At what point can someone seeking information come to the RTI Commission?
So the law says that when you have applied for information and you have been denied the information by the information officer, you can appeal to the head of the agency, who has between 15 days to respond to either affirm the decision of the information officer or set his decision aside and grant you access to information. Now, if you are dissatisfied with the head, then you can apply to the Right to Information Commission. Okay. Most of the time, the heads of institutions sign off these letters, and therefore you need not go back to them for a review.
Okay.
So the law says before you can actually go to the court, you should go through the Right to Information Commission. The powers of the court over the work of the commission is a review jurisdiction and not a matter of first instant application to the court. So the court will send you back for us to look at it if it has to do with any complaints concerning access to information.
So if you make an application or a request, take for example, you want information about a road construction in your community, or a hospital that is being built in your community, or a school that is being built in your community, and you are not satisfied in the manner with which it is going, you make the application to the right institution. It could be the urban roads, it could be to highways, or whichever they are. It could be to the education ministry or to your local, as it were, assembly, if they are the ones responsible for building the particular school or the hospital. It could be to the Ghana Health Service. If you make the application to them, and within 16 days, they come to you, 14 days, they come to you and say, we can't give you this information. What the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission is saying to you is that you should file a review to the head of the institution. The head of the institution may confirm the decision of the RTI officer, or may rather take a different view and give you the information. If the head of that institution also denies you, that is the time you can now go to the RTI Commission. You can't go straight to the court. You go to the RTI Commission, make a complaint. They will now listen to you. And if you are not satisfied with their result too, then you can now go to court.
The good side of that arrangement is that it's free to come to the Right to Information
That's
Commission.
Correct.
The state has bore the cost. So why waste your time chasing the court when you have to pay lawyers and file processes?
That's right.
So we would rather encourage that this process, in as much as you are compelled to come there, you must know that it puts no cost on you.
Right. Now, the phone lines are open. You can join us with your questions on the RTI law and the work that the Commission is also doing. Perhaps you want to know where to find the Commission. They don't exactly need you to walk into their offices. People file their complaints to them without going there. Multimedia here, Joy FM, filed complaints to them. You don't have to go there physically. I've mentioned to you Occupy Ghana, Fix the Country, what's the name? Media Foundation for West Africa, and individuals, you know, Africa Education Watch, right? They too have filed various complaints and they have been dealt with by the Commission without they going to the offices of the Commission. Join us with your questions and your contributions, and the Executive Secretary is here to answer them. So very recently, we read about how the Information Minister was first applauding you and also charging you to be bold about your work without fear and make sure that you do your work as you deem fit in accordance with the law. And he was telling you this at an occasion to outdoor a plan. What plan is this? Is it about us, the people who are accessing the information?
Yes, so the Commission, after 3 years of work, decided to put its work in perspective. That, you know what, we cannot, in as much as the law tells us what to do, we must develop our work within the short term to medium term to the long term. We thought that 5 years would be something to look forward to. I always indicate that when people want to come to your aid, they want to actually know what exactly you are doing for them to be able to support you. And every time I get the opportunity to sit on the platform, I encourage well-meaning Ghanaians and well-meaning organizations that when you want to select an agency for support in terms of your corporate social responsibility, the Right to Information Commission should be one of the commissions that you can look at. And when you come, of course, the 5-year development plan is an opportunity for you to select what kind of support you can give to the commission. We are seeking to determine the path that the commission should go in satisfying the requirements of the law.
Okay, I've been keeping Theophilus, who is calling from Bupe, on the line for a while. You can also call. The phone lines are activated. Theophilus, what's your question to the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission?
Yeah, good afternoon, Samson. Thank you for the opportunity. I sent an RTI request to a public institution.
Can you please speak up?
I made an RTI request to a public institution, precisely the East Mampresi Municipal Assembly. On the 29th of May, I did not receive any response from them after 14 days. I sent a reminder to them. They have not they have not acknowledged a receipt of my reminder as well. So will it be out of place for me to pursue it to the RTI Commission itself?
Okay.
That's my question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Theophilus, for your question. The Executive Secretary will respond to that.
Yes, Theophilus, the law allows you to take an action after 14 days and deem the non-response of the institution as a denial of the information.
Oh, really?
Yes, so the law says that if within 14 days you have received no response from the agency, you should treat it as a denial and take steps to receive the appropriate redress. So yes, you have been refused if the time has passed 14 days, and therefore you can activate your rights under the arrangements that are available to you.
So in the order that you discussed with us, he should be asking for a review?
Yes, he should. If he doesn't get the response of the agency, he comes to us. But for us, if you come to us and you haven't been to the head of the agency, we still deal with you.
Oh, thank you. Elitus, if I got your name correct, thank you. Let's hear you. Reduce the volume on your radio set. Reduce the volume on your TV set. Or you can actually kill the volume completely and listen to us directly on the line. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Proceed with your question, please.
Okay. That was on the 18th of this very month. That was Friday. I was buying a car on the GG app, and then I paid. By the time I moved from where the payment being done to where the car had been parked, the car is nowhere to be found. I'm very disturbed. I don't know who I should complain to. Can you just advise me where I should go, where I should lodge my complaint? Because I've been to the police station at Tesano, because it happened around that area. So the CID took me to the site and then realized there is no CCTV camera around there. And she told me Monday, which is tomorrow, I should come to the station so that I will go to the court for the court to give me a proform so that we can proceed to MTN to trace the numbers that I was dealing with before buying.
Okay, that's obviously a completely different situation as far as RTI is concerned. From where I sit, I don't know what the Executive Secretary will say.
I think that to be with the police to investigate this matter is the appropriate forum.
Right.
So he should proceed with that. I'm sure they will give him the necessary assistance.
Okay. I'll pick a few more calls, but we're talking about, your plans and your strategy.
Yes.
And you were talking about how, institutions and people should look at the RTI Commission if they desire to support any public institution. Why is that? What's special about you guys?
I think that one of the tenets of democracy is access to information. And if people have information, it promotes transparency and accountability in a system where we accuse each other of corruption. Let's open up what we do so that people do not have to accuse, but can verify what exactly transpires in every organization. That way, there should be some kind of peace in this regime so that people do not live off propaganda, but that people are directly involved with the information and can verify whatever information people spew about. So
let's hear Clement, who is calling from Wutu Breku. But I remember that on that occasion, the chairman of the RTI Commission board, Justice Keo Foriata, said that Ghanaians need to support the commission because this is a commission that is helping you not only to get access to information, but to help fight corruption. Corruption is killing the country. The president, when he was signing this law, said that this is the mother law of the corruption laws. All the corruption laws, this is the most important of all of them. Clement, you're calling us from Wutu Breku. Let's hear your question.
Yeah, my question is, I want to find out how I can access this information. Is there a form to fill? So, for instance, I want to, I'm an engineer and I do waste recycling. So I want to know how much waste is generated in the assembly and all of that. But I don't know who to ask this question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
So some agencies have developed forms that you can fill. Others will, even if you cannot write it, others are required by the law to listen to you orally and reduce your request in writing so that they can process it.
So if you're an illiterate,
you
just walk to the institution you want the information from.
You speak the language you like.
Okay.
We'll get you an interpreter to reduce that information into writing. And then you can confirm whether or not what you had spoken or your request is exactly what has been reduced into writing, like the jurat arrangement under the illiterates. Yeah. So you have to determine what you are looking for.
Okay.
And the process is such that whether you are speaking orally or you are putting it in writing, or there's a form for you to fill, whichever way it is, you are able to get information. So there's no strict arrangement as to how you present your requesting. It depends on you, and you elect what to do.
And Clement is clear about it. He wants the local assembly, so to speak.
Yeah, so Clement, you can go there. You can address your request to the chief executive, the district chief executive, or the municipal chief executive. That is, if you don't have an information officer. So it doesn't change the arrangement if it is to the MCE or DCE or information officer. Okay. They are required to provide you the information within 14 days. If you do not get it, you can come to the Right to Information Commission. We will take steps to assist you to get the information.
All right, Clement, so that's it there for you. So we were still talking about the justification for support for your strategy.
Yes. So yes, like I said, we now have a clear plan of where we want to get to within the next 5 years. And any organization that intends to help a state agency that is fighting the cause of the people, the Right to Information Commission is one of the agencies that you should come to. And then when we have engaged you on our plan, you can elect what you want to support to be able to guide us. I'm not saying that government has left us on our own, but government has over 1,000 institutions to support, and the budget obviously cannot be enough for this arrangement. So it takes corporate organizations to pick and support programs that will help to grow the cause of the nation. And this is an appeal to well-meaning organizations to come to the aid of the Right to Information Commission.
Okay, so they are the heart of the democracy building. And a democracy takes all of us to build a good democratic society and for good governance to happen. I will take my very last call. Nana Ejapong, you are calling us from Wenchi. Nana Ejapong, let's hear your question.
I went to the National Archives in Accra to look for a copy of the judgment on Wenchi Tool affairs. I went to the National Archives in Accra to look for a copy of the judgment on Wenchi Tool affairs.
Please mute your TV set. Mute your TV set. Mute your TV set. It's what is giving us the feedback. That's not helping you to project your questioning.
Yeah. Okay. I've muted it. It's off now.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
All right. I went to the National Archives in Accra to look for a copy of the judgment given by the National House of Chiefs on a case. Indeed, for 2 days I was there and I was told that no trace could be made of any copy of the judgment at the archive. So what do I do? When I know that we have gone there before and got a copy, we used it and it got lost. So we went back to take another copy and they say there is nothing like that at the National Archive.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Nana Ejapong.
Okay, so Nana Ejapong, if I were you, I'll go to the National House of Chiefs where the ruling was made, and I'm sure their records can be of assistance. But that notwithstanding, I'll draw your attention to Section 79 of the Act. It says, this Act does not apply to information held by the National Archives, libraries, and museums to which the public have access, which means that when it comes to information held by National Archives, libraries, and museums, the Right to Information Law recognizes that there are already arrangements that are available for persons to access information under that regime. And therefore, the Right to Information Law does not cover that arrangement. So let's take note of that. But my advice is that you should go to the National House of Chiefs where the decision was made, and I'm sure their records will review that decision for your use.
Right, Nana Ejapong, so that was it for you. So as you get ready with just a few minutes to go, what would you tell us? Where do we, feature in that strategy or plan that you have for which you are seeking corporate Ghana support?
Yes, I think it's an inclusive plan to ensure that all Ghanaians get on board in this right of access to information arrangement. When I went to the International Conference of Information Commissioners, There are agencies that are reporting 50,000 requests in a year. There are agencies reporting 200,000 requests. So when I talk
just
about
an agency,
just that, yeah, I mean a country is reporting
a whole country,
like 50,000 requests, 200,000 requests. I think that we are still down there, and yes, we can do better. So I would encourage our citizens.
We have done only in excess of
783 in the third year.
Okay.
But if you cumulatively, we've exceeded 1,000.
All right.
Yes. So I'm encouraging members of the Ghanaian society to embrace this law. It's a living document. It may have challenges, but it will take time for us to amend. But for now, this is what we have, and we should make good use of it. So let's all get on board. Let's not leave this exercise for journalists. Let's get on board.
There's been calls for the need for a legislative instrument.
Yes.
To back it. How far with that?
So we have developed a draft. We have engaged civil society. In fact, as part of our activities to mark the Right to Information Month, we'll be doing a final engagement exercise where we will get inputs to finalize the document, which we can submit to the Information Ministry, to the Attorney General, and then to Parliament, so that the process of passing an LI can be concluded. I think that so far the inputs have been great, and we seem to be getting a very fine document. But that's notwithstanding,
lined up?
Our law is a very comprehensive law.
That's right.
That can function effectively even without the LI.
Great.
That is what we've been doing so far.
Right. Yes. But it is with the LI that you now bringing even the private institutions,
yes,
which are to be affected.
Sure.
So that's important.
So the LI is helping us define the extent to which private institutions are covered, for instance. That's one of the things that we are looking at.
What are the activities that you are embarking on within the month?
Yeah, so within the month, as I speak today, we have been to about 6 churches already to preach the Right to Information law. We are using it as an opportunity to reach out to the people. We are hoping that by the end of the month, we would have done over 60 churches and mosque. We started from Thursday, Friday, they were in the mosque as well. Today, they are in some churches. Next weekend, they will be in some churches. We are pleading with the churches. We are not there to raise any money. We are simply there to help educate members of the church. And we consider them as partners where you are able to assemble citizens of this country.
All right.
Most of the time when you send letters, they reject it. And it's kind of frustrating.
Okay.
I'm just using this platform to appeal to churches. Right. That yes, it is the way we help to structure a nation, by engaging citizens. They hold the platform for engaging citizens. We want to use their platforms. They should give us the necessary cooperation.
Thank you. Samuel Noko Lawe, is that the name? He says here, Sapon Boating knows his onions. Solid guy. George Adofo says that RTI officers have been... Time is running out, and this text is getting a little problematic. Thank you very much for your time once again. Sapon Boating is the Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission, and we have been talking about the state of RTI activation, sanctioning defaulters. I'm Samson Lardy Anyenini. This has been The Law. It's your legal light. It's your help law. We come your way again next week, God willing, same time with another interesting edition. Have a good afternoon.